Hey guys, what is going on? This is card number 5. We're going to continue our top 10 series, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 center fielders. Now, I will say I do have a lot of honorable mentions for the center fielders just because there's a lot of things you have to take into regards to center field position, so just bear with me here, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the honorable mention. One honorable mention I'd like to point out is Ian Desmond. This is a pretty much a platoon card. So with inside edge, and you want to platoon him, he also has pretty good defense for a center fielder, and he also can play shortstop, which I believe is really valuable. He's a really cheap card as well, so I have to at least give him an honorable mention. Also, a few weeks ago, there was a newly released flashback Melky Cabrera card for the Royals. Now, this is a nice little card, switch hitter, good contact from both sides, got a little pop, good vision. Defense is so-so, but I mean, this is just a really solid card to have if if you prefer contact and you like switch hitters. Here's another platoon heavy card, that's Marcell Ozuna. I love this guy on my pack and play my budget teams. Absolutely kills lefties with inside edge or without inside edge. Again, mainly a platoon card, but definitely one of the better platoon options for your outfield if you guys are building a budget squad. Another budget beast, Charlie Blackmon. Honestly, budget or not, I mean, when he has inside edge, even without inside edge, once again, he has 78 power versus righties. He's got a really quick bat. Defense is so-so, but I mean, he gets the job done and he can play any outfield spot for you, so he gets an honorable mention as well. Another honorable mention is going to be the flashback Justin Reggiano. This is a battle royale beast, a budget beast, hits lefties really well. Again, fielding is so-so, and but this card absolutely strokes. Even against righties, has 86 contact, and I think this is one of the more underrated cards in the game. So if you guys are starting a budget team, definitely get yourself a flashback Justin Reggiano. He can play any spot in the outfield as well, and he gets an honorable mention. Another honorable mention, a really good card, but I don't think this card quite makes the top 10. You could argue, but I think this card is probably like 11th or so. He's a good switch hitter, good fielding, good reaction, good speed. Stealing's not the greatest. But what makes this card interesting is he has good contact on one side, and on the other side he has good power. You could argue that this card hits lefties probably better than righties. But he is a switch hitter, and this is definitely an interesting card, and he at least gets an honorable mention. This is the rookie Beltran. Another honorable mention that's pretty much, you have to platoon this card, no doubt, but he crushes righties, 93 versus righties. He also has a good arm. This is probably more of a corner outfielder, but they do have his primary listed as a center fielder, and in that year, for the Reds, he did play primarily center field, but this is definitely a really good card. And again, you can get this card in Conquest, so if you're building a budget team, this is definitely a really good card you want to check out, and he gets an honorable mention. And this is the Shin Soo Choo flashback. I have to give this card an honorable mention as well. He hits lefties really well, good platoon card. He's also a switch hitter, good vision, pretty good fielding too. And I did actually discover this card early in the year, so I mean, this card was pretty fun to use early on. It's definitely cool as a switch hitter. So we had actually 3 switch hitters. So yeah, you have a lot of options when it comes to switch hitting at the center field position. But this is a really neat card. This is the flashback Shane Victorino, and he gets an honorable mention. Next, we're going to go ahead and get into our top 10 for our center fielders. Coming in at number 10 on our top 10 list is going to be the flashback Steve Finley. This is a really cool card, guys. Like, I like his swing. I like how he has, he's 6'2". I like his compact stance in the game as well. He's got good power though, 87, 86. 87 power versus righties, 86 power versus lefties. Good vision. Contact's not the greatest, but he has enough contact. He also has pretty good vision. But this card's also pretty solid defensively as well. And I'm just a fan of this card. You have to get it in Conquest by conquering the D-backs and then feeding the players. But I really think this is an underrated card in Diamond Dynasty, and it's also a Battle Royale beast, so if you have a chance to draft him, definitely draft him. He comes in at number 10, and this is the, I don't even know what you call it. There's like 4 Steve Finleys, but this is the best Steve Finley. This is the D-back Steve Finley. Coming in at number 9 on our list is the flashback Hunter Pence. I believe this is actually his rookie card. Now, this card is just really balanced, and this is a good card if you're just looking for an everyday starter in center field. He can't play left field, but he can play center field and right field. Has good arm strength. He has pretty good defense as well. 76 fielding with 82 speed, 79 reaction. And once again, he has a good arm at 89 arm strength. But this is kind of a poor man's Mike Trout, in my opinion. I know that's kind of a stretch to say, but a poor man's Mike Trout, I think, is a good comparison. And he comes in at number 9 on my list. Coming in at number 8 on my list is the Andre Dawson, the center fielder for the Nationals. I think there's supposed to be another Andre Dawson in the game. He probably won't be a center fielder though. But this is the center field Andre Dawson for the Nationals. I guess the Expos at the time. Anyways, I've actually got a chance to use this card a lot on one of my alternate accounts, and this is a really good card, guys. It's a really nice card to have off your bench. I like the platoon him versus lefties. He's 80, 84 versus lefties, 78 vision. But his fielding is really, really good. It's up there with like Tony Gwynn and Ichiro, in my opinion. 89 fielding, 97 arm strength, 83 speed, 82 reaction, so definitely a really solid player that you can get in Conquest, so pretty much for free. He can play left field or right field as well. Not necessarily a card you have to platoon, but I probably would platoon him. Anyways, just a great balance card, and I think this is a card that we don't see too often. We have not seen too often this year anyways. But he comes in at number 8 on my top 10. Coming in at number 7 on my list is going to be the flashback Carlos Gomez. Now, I got a chance to use this card a lot on my main account, and guys, I think, besides maybe the Matt Kemp, but I still like this card a little bit. If you're just looking to platoon, I think this is the best platoon option in the outfield, and it's Carlos Gomez. Everything about this card is just really awesome. 92-97 versus lefties. Of course, the Kemp, I think he's better. I think he's 99-99. I don't know. We'll get into Kemp pretty soon, but his fielding is really good. Good speed. Really good arm, so I think he gives you a little bit more defense than the Matt Kemp. Against righties, he's obviously not as good as the Matt Kemp. That's why he doesn't rank higher, but he's still pretty solid against righties at 75 power. The one downside of this card is his plate vision, but I don't think it's a big deal when you're facing a lefty because his contact's so good. So his PCI is still a pretty good size, and this is the best platoon outfielder in my opinion in Diamond Dynasty. And he comes in at number 7 for me. Coming in at number 6 is going to be the flashback Grady Sizemore. Now, this card was really popular when the game first came out, since he was one of the first flashbacks out there. Absolutely kills righties. In my opinion, although he has pretty good power versus lefties, this card's pretty similar to the Jim Edmonds, but Jim Edmonds has a little bit more contact. This card's also pretty good defensively as well. He's got a little bit more speed. I'm comparing this to the Jim Edmonds because they're probably the most comparable cards. But his defense isn't as good as the Edmonds, nor is his arm strength, but a really solid option if you guys like left-handed batters. You definitely probably want to platoon him, but if you platoon like Grady Sizemore and Gomez, that's a really good platoon option. But this flashback Grady Sizemore comes in at number 6 on my list. And coming in at number 5 is going to be Mike Trout. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably think he should be the best or whatnot, but I have my reasons and we'll get into that. I think honestly, guys, 2 through 5, you could interchange any of these guys, and a lot of it's just going to be personal opinion. And of course, when I do these top 10 lists, it's my opinion. Now, I've used Mike Trout a lot. I even went out and said that he's, just godly and one of the best players in the show, and I still think that. However, when you guys see these next center fielders, I'll give my reasons why. One big reason I don't put Mike Trout higher is because he always plays up, and I think, again, we can't rely on that because in 3 weeks we won't have inside edge, and this is my opinion, not a center fielder you want to use over the Matt Kemp. I give the Matt Kemp, spoiler alert, I do give the Matt Kemp a slight edge over this Mike Trout, obviously. But this card has good speed, good fielding, just a flat out beast card, and it's hard to rank it number 5, honestly, but we'll go ahead and get to number 4 and 3 and so on, and we'll talk about why. So at number 4, just ahead of the Mike Trout in my opinion, is the flashback Kemp. And I have my reasons. This is a better card if you're just looking at base attributes, in my opinion. Also, guys, in Diamond Dynasty, at this point, if you don't have a stacked team, you're probably doing something wrong, or I don't know, you just haven't put in the time. But both the Mike Trout and Matt Kemp are probably cards you're not going to play in center field. You can play in center field, and they do an okay job. But in my opinion, even though this is a center field list, I'm ranking them by position, but I'm giving you guys, in my opinion, the most valuable center fielders in the game, but I'm not necessarily basing it off the fact that they have to play center field. So a card like Matt Kemp, you probably want to play in the corner outfield spot. I don't think many people play him in center field, but the reason I like him over Trout is because his hitting attributes are just better than Trout. Mike Trout might have a little bit more of an advantage versus righties with inside edge, but again, I'm not going to rely on inside edge, and I give this card the slight advantage, especially once we get into the offseason. Their defense is really similar. I think Mike Trout has a little bit more speed. But yeah, other than that, they're very, very similar. You can almost say this is 4A and 4B. Let's go ahead and get into the number 3 center fielder. I know I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, but I have to give number 3 center fielder to Jim Edmonds, and I have my reasons why. Again, I don't play this card in center field, but we're basing it off the center field cards. I know it's kind of confusing you guys, but bear with me. I'm basically saying I think Jim Edmonds is a more valuable card to have on your team over the Matt Kemp and the Mike Trout, and I'll give my reasons why. This is a card you probably want to platoon with. You don't necessarily have to platoon, but in my opinion, versus righties, I'll take Jim Edmonds over really any other center fielder except maybe the next 2, maybe the next one as well. But his defense is phenomenal. 95 fielding, 86 arm strength, 82 reaction, and if you put him in the corner outfield spot, his overall goes from like 90 to 97, 98, so he's one of the best corner outfielders technically in the game. But you can't go wrong with 81, 97. His one downside is his vision, and you might have to platoon with his card against lefties, but again, Diamond Dynasty, pretty much everybody has a good platoon option off the bench, and this, again, I just think that Jim Edmonds is a more valuable card than the Kemp. and the Trout, and I hit really well with this card. So yeah, I guess it might be biased, whatnot, but I can't complain with stats, guys. Like, I crush with this card. I hit better with this card than I do with the Kemp and the Trout. So leave it at that. Let's go ahead and move on to the number 2. Number 2, I'm going to give it to the Flashback Prime Jacoby Ellsbury. Again, guys, 2 through 5, you could interchange at your will. I think we're pretty much in agreement. These cards are all really, really close to one another, but I give this slight advantage to Jacoby over the other ones because he crushes righties, similar to like the Grady Sizemore. However, this card has a lot of speed, good fielding, good reaction. Obviously, we know the one downside to this card is his arm strength. And again, I'm not basing these off, their primary position playing center field. I know that's kind of confusing, but this is a card you want to play in left field because of the arm strength. I would never play this card in center field. I just would not do it. It can cost you definitely some runs, but you want to put him in left field and make sure you have a good shortstop, good cutoff man, and you'll be fine. This card absolutely strokes though, good vision, good power. You don't have to platoon with it either, so I give it a slight edge over the Edmonds, Kemp, and the Trout. And he bats left-handed, that's always a plus. Let's go ahead and get to our number 1 center fielder. No doubt, guys, this is probably the best card in the game. Maybe I'll do a top 10 players in the game, but this, in my opinion, is probably the best card in the game. Maybe this or the Mauer or the Pujols, but this card is a phenomenal switch hitter. Pretty much maxed out. This is almost like a created player, guys. This card is just crazy. Good vision, good discipline, good clutch, everything. Hitting wise, just everything. The one downside of this card is probably the fielding. However, he kind of makes up for it with good speed, 90 speed. So honestly, guys, the fielding isn't too great. This is a card you might want to play in one of the corner outfield spots. Arm strength is so-so at 74. You're looking at, a little bit better arm than someone like Reggie Stalker. But no doubt in my mind, this is the best center fielder. And if you guys disagree, that's fine. But really, a lot of these center fielders that I put in here, none of them have great arms, really. And I think a lot of us end up playing a lot of right fielders, which we'll do next. But in my opinion, guys, those are the top 10 most valuable center fielders. It's kind of weird, though, because a lot of them you probably don't want to play in center field. You want to play in the corner outfield spot. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And I'm really curious to hear your guys'. Why don't you give me like your top 5 or top 6? Because I'm really curious where you guys put the Sizemore, Trout, Edmonds, and all that. Like, I just personally hit really well with the Edmonds, so I had to give him an advantage. But anyways, guys, make sure you like and sub. Again, thanks for watching. This is Car Number 5 signing out. Peace.